So, hey guys, today is day 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Improvement Week. So, today we're going to talk about zone placements. So, zone placements are surprisingly pretty important. So, first things first is that you have to consider from your opponent's position, your zones are actually kind of reversed. So, my left is your right is my left. And that's not like too big of a thing, but for example, if let's take a look. If we have any arrows that fit this description that are kind of relevant here. So with Lingaribo, if I place Lingaribo here, this will be my left, but it will be from my opponent's perspective. If we flip things over, it'll be like my opponent's uh, right zone. Well, it'll be the other zone from this perspective. So if I were to summon Lingaribo, it would point here. If my opponent were to summon Lingaribo, it would also point in this direction, I think, right? Yes, it would point here. So that's kind of important for zone play a little bit. But also in terms of zones that are safe, there are no zones that play around everything. But I mean, the worst zones to place cards in would be this zone here and this zone here. So around the EMZ is the absolute worst place to place cards in general. So cards on the back row, don't place them here either. You're better off placing here, here, or here, unless you're playing penned, in which case you have no choice but to place here, here, and here. If you were playing with pendulums, you have to be pretty aware that these two zones are now your worst zones to place spells and traps, so be very wary of that as well. And in terms of zones, if we were to special summon here, here, and also I believe here, these three zones are safe from Geonator Transverser. But if we summon to this zone, this zone, this zone, and this zone, all four of these zones specifically are bad for Longirsu, and the only safe zone in that case is the actual opposite one of the Geonator safe zone. This is the only Longirsu safe zone. So it's genuinely impossible to play around everything, and then Relinquished Anima is going to be able to target this zone and this zone. But if we were to summon a guy here, then these three zones are fairly safe, and it's not that problematic. But the reason you don't place any spell traps in this zone or this zone is just because of Mekk-Knight. So if we go like Girsu, effect of Girsu, and we'll send World Legacy, World Armor, then we can activate the effect to summon tokens. So we can summon a token to, we'll do right here, and then right here. So because you have two guys here, if I had Mekk-Knight Blue Sky or Purple, which then searches blue, if you had a backer right here, I would draw two cards instead of just the one I would normally draw. And we can't put anything in the back row here. So yeah, that would be pretty bad, I guess, to have a two monsters, well, a monster and a spell trap lined up like this. And this is more beneficial as well because there is no extra monster zone in the middle. So if I were to then summon Lib like this, right? We can activate Lib effect here, and then we can set World Legacy Succession here. Well, actually, it would be able to be set wherever, but if you have a spell trap in this column, or this column, I can use Lib effect like so, right? And in this case, you will have given me two zones where I can special summon Mekk-Knights from. So in this zone, it would be, assuming the spell and trap would be here, it would be spell trap here, Lib here, so we have two cards in the same column. If you put it here, I could then just set Succession here, and then I have a zone with one card here, and then we have one card here, one card here. So that would be this zone and this zone where I can special summon monsters and stuff, right? But if you were to instead, say, put it here, then I could set technically the succession here, and I could special summon here, but I would have nowhere else to special summon, just that one location. So that's why that's relevant, and zone play becomes pretty crucial for a variety of reasons, and every deck has, well, in general, their own zone play. So it depends, but for the most part, you want to, well, it's a bit situational, but for the most part, you want to avoid summoning to this zone, so the middle zone, if possible, because if you do, you'll have to worry about link summons and pendulum summons to the middle zone, and this becomes like a horrible zone that will mess up your combos and whatnot. So right now we're going to do succession, which, you know, if I actually summon something to the middle zone, I wouldn't be able to special summon the World Legacy World Armor, which can be incredibly bad. So we'll now grab World Legacy's memory here, and we'll do, I guess we have no Mech Knight here. So that was a misplay. So I was supposed to summon Indigo Eclipse earlier. Now I don't have a Mech Knight to summon. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. We can do purple, I guess, which should be fine. Purple effect. Oh, I see why this matters now. Then I would have to link this off. And I mess up the zone play, clearly, because if I summon Lib here, well, yeah, I would be able to special summon Indigo here. But since we did not do that, I guess we'll do this instead. Link off these two. And we'll compromise. And make Mech Knight of the Morning Star here. And we'll discard, I think it's better in this case to discard Avram. So then we can add secrets here. And then we'll set secrets to this zone, special summon Indigo here. And then we can special summon Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax here. But that was a little bit of a misplay. So what I could have done instead is I could have, if I played it a bit differently, we could have left this zone alone. And we can, instead, we could have had, it would be, we would have our Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax here, and then we would have Blue Sky somewhere else. We would be able to move, right? So the reason we would want to do that is because this zone is actually kind of being blocked by the token until our opponent removes this token, right? So the thing about this, it means that our opponent has 4 main monster zones to summon to. So if we have, in this case, it would be Avramax here, Blue Sky here, then our opponent can only summon to here and here. So if our opponent was not aware of Secret's effect, then we can just flip over Secrets to negate their monster. And also with the zone play here, I kind of salvaged it, so right now we're covering this extra monster zone with Indigo Eclipse. So if our opponent were to be able to link summon, I mean Dragon Army can't link summon, but if our opponent wanted to link summon here, their link monster's effect will always be negated by Indigo Eclipse, and this cannot be run over by battle. And also, this, we don't care about Anima here because Anima will get negated by secrets. So that's essentially how this works. So right now we have quite a few monster negates and stuff. So end phase. We can then do secrets up. Don't play like this guy. Yikes. Purple Nightfall. Special summon. Effect to banish Purple Nightfall here. The zone actually doesn't matter for this too much, but right now we're very close, and after resolving a few more effects, we will have lock down every single zone. And this will be done pretty quick. So if our opponent didn't play any cards, we would have had this zone, and we could summon Blue Sky here. But right now we're going to do this. Then we're going to special summon to this zone. And this is why you don't place two cards in the same column. It's to play around Magnites. So your opponent can't switch two. Even if I can special summon a Magnite, if you only place one card per column, it'll be just one search that I can do unless I can give you a World Legacy token. So let's grab these two, I guess. And now after I have normal summoned this Girsu, you might notice that right now there's no counterplay any longer. So right here, right now, this is a Magnite, this is a Magnite, all of these guys are Magnites. So that means you're effectively, well, kind of skill drained right now because of secrets. So effect of secrets, negate any opponent's monster effect that activates in the same column as a Magnite monster you control. And in every single column right now, there is a Magnite monster. So on the field, at least, it is now no longer possible to activate monster effects. Which, I mean, kind of brutal. If we wanted to, we could also do this. We could have banished Girsu. It doesn't really matter who we banish here, but I don't know. We'll do, I don't know, Magnite yellow. Then we can even do this. Move blue. Summon yellow. And we essentially just refresh the lock here. And I guess we can activate this effect now as well. Bashing, I don't know, I guess Girsu. Popping Dragon Treasure. I guess that was a bluff. Is this lethal? Not really. But whatever, so. That's a zone play in action right there from Magnites. If we were to swap to Pendulum, let's do, I guess, DD. We can see how bad zone play can negatively affect the deck pretty fast. So let's see if we can get a good hand here first try. Surely DD is consistent and we will never open bad hands with DD. I refuse to believe. And I was right, clearly. Alright. So now I believe the combo is this. We go Swirl, Slime, to send Genghis. And we'll send, I guess Kepler will be fine. Yeah, I guess. So we'll summon Flame King Genghis to the middle zone. This is technically fine. It doesn't really matter. Okay, Swirl Slime now. To special summon Copernicus. This zone also doesn't matter. And then we'll trigger both effects. Technically, we can also chain link block the Copernicus here. And then we can use the effect to send here. In this case, we'll send, I guess, Typhon is fine. Doesn't really matter what we send, right? Yeah. Special summon Kepler, and we'll do this zone. So this also doesn't matter. We add a Dark Contract. We'll go with Dark Contract with the gate. Nice. We got this now. Gate effect. We will add a copy of Orthros. And now we will normal summon Orthros. So this zone, it also doesn't matter. But the zone that does matter, it will be this one, Baron de Fleur. So we'll special summon Baron de Fleur. And we'll summon it to an incorrect zone. The middle zone, the absolute worst zone you could summon Baron to in this case. Middle zone we go. So now, if we summon Gilgamesh, I have to summon Gilgamesh to either the left or right zone, and you'll see shortly that it doesn't matter which zone I choose here. So Gilgamesh effect. And now we'll be able to add a card from the deck. So the issue now is when I place my scales, I can only pendulum summon to where link arrows point. So, well, I can only pendulum summon to where link arrows point, right? So, this zone is being covered, so I can only I can only pendulum summon to this zone on the right. And if I were to place Gilgamesh, because I placed Baron in the melt, I can only summon to this zone if I were to place Gilgamesh here instead. If I were to just place Baron anywhere else, so it's like here, 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 or here, I could change Gilgamesh's position, and I'd be able to pendulum summon 2 cards. But in this case, yeah, nothing I can really do about this. So, well, actually, there is one play with the exact cards I have, but it ends on still a worse end board. Or if I'm feeling very extreme, I can just have Baron pop itself, just get Baron off the board so I can end for 2. But if I want to do a play here, I believe the best action here is to go Griffin. Well, assuming I want to keep the Baron, like to salvage the situation, you would go, I think, the best option is Griffin with 7 Thomas. Or in this case, let's see. No, we can't do anything else. Yeah, I think that's the best play. Yeah, aside from that, we have maybe something like Orthrus with 7 Thomas is also like salvageable. But yeah, we want to have Griffin anyway, so we'll do this. So the line with this is going to look really dumb, but essentially all we have to do is, well, we have 2 options, but it's better to do it in this sequence. So we'll do Pendulum Summon the Orthrus, and we have to summon here. And then we activate the effect of Griffin like this. And we grab Griffin. And then we can special summon Griffin. Like, this is still combo, don't get me wrong, because we open, like, pretty good, right? But we could have ended on a lot more. So instead, we were supposed to, as one of our scales, we would have normally grabbed Oblivion King, Abyss, Ragnarok. And the reason for this being significantly better is because this has the effect to be Monster Reborn, which now we no longer have access to because we were forced to instead search Thomas with Griffin. So yeah, that's essentially what happened here. And Baron kind of caused this because we simply place it in the middle zone. I don't know, like, we lose like maybe 1 to 2 negates off of this. Like, yeah, it's fairly bad, right? Not going to make you sit through the whole DD combo. I mean, it doesn't take me that long to perform personally, but you know. But let's see. Aside from this, there are a few other decks that I care about zone play. And if you play synchros, it honestly doesn't matter too much. It's just playing around like what link monsters your opponent can summon, and then those zones might matter. But if we were to then go to, I guess we'll go with this list is fine. We still have like a few other lists, but all right. If we go with the Sprite Twin deck, zone play, yeah, well, yeah, it matters. It'd be better if we had 1 more extender, so we'll try again. To really showcase the zone play. Otherwise, I don't think it matters a whole lot with Sprite Elf. So, alright. Good enough, I guess. So here we go normal summon Hisokill Frost to start. And the zone play at this point doesn't matter because we can still move things around, so I could do these 2 zones and it's about the same, right? But when we place Gigantic Sprite somewhere, this is going to matter. So the reason Gigantic Sprite matters is that right now we can technically play around something. So if we go Sprite Starter here, we can special summon blue, And then blue will add us a card, so the zone play right now also doesn't fully matter. So we'll grab Sprite Carrot. Special summoning Sprite, I guess it could be red, could be carrot, doesn't really matter. But we'll special summon here, and before we special summon the gigantic Sprite here, we actually have the option to make the copy of Sprite Elf first. So that's why the zone play matters here. So we can just link off whoever, doesn't really matter. Zone for Sprite Elf. This doesn't play around Nibiru, but it is what it is, I guess. If Nibiru isn't that commonly played, I guess that this line will be like a little bit better in that case. But yeah, we go here into Gigantic Sprite, and now the only card that is targetable on the field will be Sprite Elf. And we'll detach here a copy of gizmek, special summoning the Lila. And here we don't really need to special summon it to this zone. And pretty noteworthy here is now if I special summon Sprite Red to this zone, there's actually something a little bit interesting that happens. So right now, if I want to link summon again, I have a few options. So I have to use the Lila, like that. This is required. I can't use Sprite Elf for material. I can use Gigantic Sprite or Sprite Red. But if I had another monster, I would not be able to use that monster because I play Sprite Red in this zone and Gigantic Sprite. But luckily enough, I do want to link off the Gigantic Sprite, so it doesn't really matter too much. And then we can go Lila effect to special summon. The Frost, this zone won't matter that much because we're going to link it off immediately, but if you do want to play around some things, you can. And then we'll link off these two. And this is like, in general, not that great to an extent, but it is what it is, I guess. We'll summon back a copy of Lila here. And then we can place this in like whatever zone. It would have been better in this zone because then I could link summon to this zone as well right here, but I can't. I don't have any extra link arrows in this case, but it does play around like Anima, so there's that, I guess. And then we can bring back Sprite Carrot here like so, and then we can just pass on this. And now gizmek is not targetable, but these two are targetable. End of main. Whatever. Destroy Lila. Sure. Effect. We can do effect of Sprite Red or Sprite Carrot. Tribute the red. Effect here. This effect. This effect as well. To bring back red. The effect we're negating here is nothing really. I just felt like tributing guys, I guess. Is this even game? Wait. This is kinda hilarious. If I make Gigantic here, it would be game, but I don't play like 2 Gigantic in this list. So Giga awkward, full end board. They're too small to game. But yeah. The zone play. I just did there. We can just mention it here, and it does show zone placements here. So right there, change battle position. of Sprite Carrot in this zone, and this is useful for telling what face downs your opponent has and what face downs they were. So like maybe my opponent is playing Labyrinth and they resolved Daruma, and they have like Lovely, Ariane, and Lady Lab, and they have 3 sets. I can go back and use this to check where each card is. So this was in the middle zone, and it was targeted for destruction by Evil Twin Lila, which was over here. So that is pretty useful, and it also shows where spells and traps were also placed as well. So it shows activate in middle column here, which is relevant just in general. So let's see, anything we can do here that's kind of cool. I mean, I think this is lethal if we link up these two, right? But with the zone placement I just did, what I did was I specifically did the effect to special summon with Sprite Elf. So I special summoned red to this zone, and that means when I resolve Sprite Blue on the following turn, this is not negatable. That's all this means. So that's one reason not to technically summon to the Sprite Elf zone on your opponent's turn. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of complicated. And wait, is this just exact lethal? That's kind of funny. We do 1,000 something damage here. Alright. So yeah, that's kind of zone play with like just link arrows, and it doesn't matter as much for you in this case. But yeah, in general, like, it changes based on the deck you're playing. So sometimes you do want to summon to the link arrows with like a Sprite Elf. Sometimes you absolutely want to avoid your link arrows like the Plague, like when you're playing Pend, and you play something in the middle pendulum zone and you couldn't link it off, then you suffer. And you just lose a guy for no reason, and that guy could be extremely important. So yeah, that's just awful in general. And sometimes there are even effects with cards like Saizo. Like, while this card points to a monster, this card cannot be targeted for an attack. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. So Saizo can randomly just make itself untargetable if, you know, you have something in the zone that Saizo points to. But if we were to summon to the middle zone, that's actually kind of worse. If your opponent occupies like a certain extra monster zone and you already had a monster on the leftmost zone, for example, then you're blocking those 2 zones and you're not going to be able to summon. So when we also take our opponent into account here, yeah, things get worse sometimes. So then in that case, the middle zone becomes better for playing around our own zones, and this matters for specifically cross shape. So let's say I special summon Fenrir to my leftmost zone or my rightmost zone, and then I summoned I don't know, it doesn't really matter what I summon to the middle zone, but yeah, I might not be able to make Maizen and put that in the middle zone to then trigger the cross shape, and that becomes extremely bad. We'll put it that way. So yeah, we kind of have to be thoughtful of not just our own cards but our opponent's cards as well. So in terms of just like end board, we'll just do a quick combo and kind of go over where I'm placing my cards and just why in general, I guess. So if we were to go with a deck that's good for that, let's go with a deck that doesn't extend too far. So I guess we can go with just Unchained, right? Sure. Unchained is pretty simple. So we're going first. So there are a lot of things to take into account, like Mech Knight, Girsu, Long Girsu, all that stuff. So here, going to start with the only play that is available to us. So zone play right now doesn't really matter. So we'll just put tour guide in the middle. Tour guide isn't that high value of a target, so it's fine. Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Zone also doesn't matter because we're just going to link it off. Okay, so now we go Yama. And then we have to summon to either the left or right zone, or extra monster zone. Which zone do you choose here? So the correct answer is to choose always the right zone, I believe. And the reasoning behind this is because this zone is better against specifically Ignister. And there's no other reason but this. If I recall correctly, it's this zone because at Infant, at Ignister only moves in one direction. So if we were to summon here, and our opponent summons here, at Ignister can move like out of the way, and then you have 3 open zones to summon with Templar at Ignister. But if we summon to this zone, it can't like move, right? So I believe it moves in this direction. I don't really remember. So let's take a look here at Ignister. Yeah, Dark Infant at Ignister. What does this point to? Left. So this is going to be my right, I guess. So it has a left arrow, so it moves reverse, so it moves this way. So that would be, let's see, if we put it in this zone and it moves, well, actually, doesn't it say which direction it moves? Very confusing, but it's this zone, I'm pretty sure, right? Let's see where it says it moves to. You can move this card to your main monster zone. This card points to. Then you can change it to any attribute until the end of this turn. Yeah, okay. So Dark Infant points to the left. So for me, it would be, if I summon it to here, it would move to there. If we rotate it around, it's this. Summon here, move there, right? So your left is my right, your right is my left. Yeah, it's confusing, but wait, does that mean we actually want to summon to this zone? Confusion. Yeah, it's really kicking in. But now that I think about it, yeah, you don't summon to the right, you summon to the left zone. I just never had to like actually vocalize left or right, so it's kind of like confusing, like me right now. But okay, I guess we grab, I don't know, escape, sure. So we can still move this, so it doesn't matter that we summoned it here, I guess. Yeah. Wait, move left, flip here, moves this way. Oh yeah, it is the left zone then, I think. So zone placement here doesn't matter. It'll matter for the end, so right now we don't have to be too worried. And then we do this. I mean, technically, I guess it would have been better to have grabbed a card we didn't already have, but whatever. Okay. And then we pop Aruha. Aruha grabs us the Shayama, so I guess we just move to the other zone here. Linking these 2 off like this. Here. And then we will do effect of Shayama to pop the Sarama here. And then it doesn't matter where we summon the Sharvara from the deck, doesn't matter. Because we're just going to simply make the wave hiking. And there are reasons to summon this in both attack and defense. So if we summon it in defense, Fenrir can actually run over this by battle, for example. If we were, well, it's not necessarily going to be Fenrir, but it can be run over by battle because 1.8k. can be beat over by a normal summon. But if we have 2.8k, it won't be. But if we get Lightning Stormed, we'll lose Wave Hiking Caesars. So situational, I guess. If we're playing against Tenpai, I think it's better to go in defense. If we're playing against like a few other decks, attack is the right option. So we can place in either this zone or this zone. If we place in this zone right now, this doesn't actually play around anything. It's better to do this zone because this will play around specifically if our opponent has Longyearzu. For whatever reason, our opponent is playing Longyearzu. This is the safe zone. This zone is bad. So yeah, this zone here is fine, and we can't get Geonated because we will occupy this zone right here. Like our life depends on it. And then we can set a card here. So if we don't feel like using Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, we feel like we won't use it, we don't have to set it. But we can set Imperm here. If I was playing Pend, I would probably just have to end up setting it here, but you know, it's fine. Another reason to set Infinite Impermanence here is it can negate Pen scales, and no one should ever again play into Infinite Impermanence zones because there's this blatant obvious animation. So yeah, it shouldn't really matter if we place like Imperm in the middle column anymore. It's just better in the left or rightmost ones if you want to place it there. But because your opponent also knows all this information, it might also be better not to place your Infinite Impermanence here because you don't want to get sniped by like an MSD or Cosmic. In some cases, like I can still chain Abominable Chamber of the Unchained to like a Cosmic or something and still resolve the effect to special summon, right? But if I lose the Infinite Impermanence, it just negates nothing, it just goes into the void. So that can be game losing potentially. It's not like super likely, but it can happen, and you know, maybe this is too telegraphed, too obvious. And then for the last card, we can just put this here if we want. There's no reason to set the Harpy's Feather Duster. We already have adequate back row, so usually you might set like one spell trap that's just not activatable, like a Triple Tactics Talent, just to bait out, I guess, like some removal for next turn, or like as a bluff, in case your opponent has backer removal or something that they can do. Like maybe I actually have a hand trigger, and it'll look like it's actually the field being able to trigger something on the field, right? Like, I don't know, maybe a Walk Kinetic freaking Puppeteer, right? But the set card's actually, let's say, I don't know, Waking the Dragon, which has no actual response to anything ever. But our opponent doesn't know that, and they make SP to banish it, and it's my only back row or whatever. That's technically a play we can do. And notably, zones right here, we put this to play around at Ignister, and then we put this here to play around Longyearzu, because if we put around here, it would be bad, and we don't set anything in these two columns because Magnites. And that about summarizes it. If we want to just play around our opponent being on Pend, then we place the Imperm here. And that's about it for the zone placement. And then we have set a guy, set another card. End of main. Activate effect to pop cards, I guess. We'll do, I don't know. These two. Damn. Again, who would have thought? I know we'll grab Sarama, I guess. Effect to special summon. And we'll special summon, I guess, Unchained Soul of Rage. Why not? Destroy a card. We could actually. It's just fine. Who wants to special summon a guy from the deck? It's not that bad, but we don't need to. Effect of Abominable. And we special summon, I guess, Ruhan. Or Shervara. Shervara's like a little bit better here, I guess, technically. And then the zone play here doesn't really matter too much. So, yeah, that's essentially zone play in a nutshell, I guess. But Yeah. The one downside of having the wave high king in this position is if, you know, I were to have link summoned, like I can link summon right now, assuming my opponent's occupying that zone. If I summon Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama, I have this zone kind of blocked by the Caesar, but I just have to be careful not to place anything I don't want to link off in the middle zone here. And yeah, that's the only thing left to really worry about, I guess. Aside from that, we're pretty solid, I think. So here we can just set this, I think, and then pop this, I guess. And then this is just lethal, I think, right? Yeah. Could technically summon this guy last turn as well. Pretty wild stuff, I guess. And then boom, lethal. Epic. Well, zone play doesn't always come up, but, you know, when you lose to zone play, it was technically just you misplaying, so gotta be careful about misplaying with the zone placement, which, I mean, it doesn't always come up, but when it does, it sure does, I guess. So a deck I think that, well, really suffers just in general, just cyber stacks, because they're all linked decks. And we have like transcode. If you were to summon a guy to the transcode zone, transcode specifically can only special summon to where a link arrow points, and not just any link arrow. I believe it's where specifically this card points to, right? This card points to, yep. So if you were to summon this to the extra monster zone and there's something below it, literally you can't play the game, right? And this is partially one thing that we're playing around when we are playing Mech Knights, right? So with the Mech Knight columns that I set up, we would have the token right below or above the extra monster zone, depending on perspective, right? And that blocks transcode, and I'm occupying the other extra monster zone, so you can never really get rid of that token. So that's actually also to play around and kind of beat up, I guess, code talkers. And then we'll also later on also have the option to, if our opponent is playing a link deck, we can negate anything they try to summon into the extra monster zone by occupying the left zone and having something like a indigo right below or above our opponent's extra monster zone that they have to use. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.